Hello and welcome to part 2 of the paper cartridge kit tutorials. This one's on the 36 caliber kit, which you can use for pistols like your 1851 Navy, 1861 Navy, or any other 36 caliber cap and ball pistol. So let's get started. Alright, so we've got our 36 caliber cartridge kit. Let's open her up and see what we've got. So we've got a mandrel and a forming die. You've got a small funnel. And then you've got templates for cutting out your paper cartridge. So this is for your funnel, and this is the bottom piece. Okay. Now, what I tend to like to use for paper is just a simple coffee filter, or you can use like a tissue paper like you might find for gift wrap. Either one is fine. It's really personal preference. I tend to like coffee filters lately because they tend to make a little bit stronger cartridge, but ultimately they're all made of paper, so they're all a little bit fragile. Okay, so it's as simple as the first step, just taking your coffee filter, and I've cut a few out here, and taking your envelope template, and it doesn't have to fit on the paper just perfectly because you're going to trim it to size anyway, but you want to get at least the rough size and shape, and then we'll cut out the base. And again, it doesn't have to be perfect. It can be a little bit bigger than the template, and it doesn't have to line up just perfectly, just so you get the approximation right. So I'm going to cut these out, and then I'll show you the next step. All right, and now that I've got those cut out, we'll go ahead and wrap it around the mandrel. All right, so we'll take our envelope, and I'm going to hold it with my thumb like this while I wrap it around with my other index finger. Okay. And here we'll just put a little glue here. And what I'm going to use in this example is some water glass, something you can find on Amazon. And I'm going to use a brush for this. So I'm just going to dip a paintbrush in it. You don't need a whole lot. Maybe I didn't get quite enough that time. Okay, that's plenty there. Now we'll wrap it around. Now I find water glass to be pretty convenient because it's not too sticky. It doesn't stick to everything you don't want it to stick to, but it's easy to apply and easy to deal with, right? So my fingers are not sticky. My mandrel is not sticky, but it will bind the paper. And it burns up well enough, at least, when you use the cartridges. So now I'll take the base and I'll put it on top of the die like this. And I will just apply a good amount of that water glass on the base here. Okay. And we'll line it up, press it down. Okay, and we'll maybe take our brush and we'll just press out just a bit, and very gently remove from our die. And we've got a nice formed cartridge envelope. So now we'll take it out. And actually, before we take it out, I will roll it in my thumb and finger here to get the impressions of the cut lines. So on our mandrel, remember we've got a 15 grain and 20 grain cut guides there. That way we can trim our cartridge to length for whatever charge we're using. So we'll set that down. And at this point, we don't need our glue, and we'll just let it dry for a little bit. Okay, and I've made up a couple of envelopes following that technique, just using the water glass glue in each case. And here I've got two different bullets to demonstrate. There's the Colt Cartridge Works conical there, and just a regular 375 round ball. And you can make cartridges with either one. So first, before I do anything else, I will trim these down to size. So for the round ball, maybe we want to do a 20 grain charge. So again, I'll just take my mandrel and I'll press in those marks just as clearly as I can. Okay, so we'll do a 20 grain for this one. This will be our round ball. Okay. And then we'll do a 15 grain for this one. And again, I'll just press in the marks once again so they're nice and fresh and easy to see. And we'll just cut that down to size. Right there. So that'll be a 15 grain charge to go with our conical bullet. Okay, so now at this point, I'm going to stand those up. And I'll take my powder flask. This is what I like to use. Of course, you can use a typical adjustable powder measure, but I use the flask because I find it easier, especially since I have this kit, which is just a set of flask spouts. So here we'll pick out the 15 grain spout and the 20 grain spout. These are in sizes from 10 all the way up to 35 in 5 grain increments. It's a nice handy kit there. So we'll remove our brass. We'll put in our 20 grain first, and we'll go ahead and throw that. We'll set aside our 15 for now. Let's take our 20 grain envelope, and we can just place it right over that spout. So we'll measure it out first, and we'll place it, turn it, and just slowly lift it out, and it should pour very nicely. Okay. Now at this point you can use water glass or any other glue that you like. I'm going to use this 3-in-1 for this step. Okay. Now we'll take our ball and we'll just seat it right on top. Easy peasy. Now what I like to do is take my thumb and just kind of run it up the edges so we have a nice kind of coverage of that edge of the ball. And we'll roll it in the thumb and forefinger and anything we got to do to make sure that this is firmly glued onto that ball. And you can always apply more glue. So we'll do that. And again, you can always do the same kind of technique with water glass as well. Okay, get some of the excess off of there. And there you have it. There's a basic 20 grain charge round ball paper cartridge. All right, let's do our 15 grain with the conical. So we'll switch out our spout. Whoops. To our 15 grain spout. And we'll do the same technique we did before, where we just pour a charge, take our envelope, place it over our spout, flip it, and slowly remove. Okay, we've got our nice clean powder charge there. And now I'll show you the water glass method. So this way, we'll take our water glass, and just like we did with the envelopes, we'll just brush it onto the bullet this time. Okay. Go around the edges. We can do the bottom if we like. Doesn't really matter all that much. Sorry, I think I was out of frame. But you get the idea. You can kind of brush it on. And just like before, it doesn't really stick to my fingers. And with a conical, because it's kind of a flat base, I like to put one edge in first and then kind of ease in the rest of it. And we'll just press it down. And we'll roll the cartridge onto the heel of that bullet with our thumb and forefinger. And just as before, if we find we need a little bit more glue with the water glass, we can just brush it right on top of that paper, and it will, go right through it. Very easy. Okay. And there you have that. There's our 15 grain charge under our conical bullet. We'll set that there. And we'll let these guys dry. And we'll take them for the next step. Okay, now we're on to the next and really last step of making these cartridges. First, we'll take our lube. And this is a 50-50 mix of just beeswax and lamb tallow. Okay, so now we'll just let this melt down. Now that our lube's melted, let's go ahead and dip our cartridges. We've got our 36 caliber conical and our round ball here. So go ahead and just dip the round ball first. And it's very quick. You just dip it in for even half a second. And that's all we need to do. And we'll just roll it around a little bit and let that lube cool off. Set it down. Now we'll do our conical. Same idea. Just dip it quickly down to the base of the bullet or so. And roll it a bit. And there we are. Already done. Very, very easy. And that about does it for my tutorial on the 36 caliber cartridge kit. If you're interested, I've also got cartridge boxes to store your paper cartridges once you're done making them. And then I've got, of course, the flask spout kit if you need one of those as well. I hope this tutorial was helpful to you. I'll see you in the next video.